There's certainly intergenerational things that are passed on. If our parents had a kind of a jacked up nervous system, we're more likely to have that too. But also, what happens in utero is really important because if your mother is agitated or afraid or disturbed for any reason, her nervous system is going to be generating cortisol and adrenaline that are going to flood through your system as well. And there's been some kind of interesting studies on that in terms of children are born with a nervous system that's already used to that flood of adrenaline and cortisol, and it has an effect on certainly the developing nervous system and brain. And then there's the fight or freeze aspect of things too. Some people have more of a fight response. So the nervous system feels more agitated because we're always kind of ready to go. And with trauma, as you know, there's hypervigilance and we're scanning for threat. If people are fortunate enough to have, no matter what happened before, but if they're fortunate enough to have a good connection and a feeling of safety and attachment with their parent or caregiver, then a lot of that starts to settle down. And Gabor Mate talks about we co regulate with our children and with each other. So a child doesn't really have any way to understand the fear. It's body, it's gut, and a lot of things happen pre-verbal too, of course. And so it's up to the adults to help the child feel safe by attending to their needs and by not hurting them. And that helps the child grow a nervous system that's calmer and more resilient. And so many people don't have that basic safety and connection, whether we're being actively hurt or not, as many people are. Even if it's not that, there's still not a feeling that I have a protective family around me, that I matter, I will be protected if something goes wrong. And so when that happens, our nervous systems can't really manage that well. So a practice like this, where it's quite quiet, is more of a challenge because the nervous system is scanning, we're hypervigilant. And part of this, I think, is to just acknowledge this is what it feels like in my nervous system a lot of the time. And to acknowledge that right now everybody's nervous systems are being activated. And if we have a nervous system that's highly impacted by trauma or that has that felt sense to it, it's going to be a lot harder to calm. And so what I found is that people in freeze, where they have more of a freeze response, they don't have as much trouble doing a relaxation practice because their bodies are kind of sluggish and more able to settle. Mine's always been the freeze response, and it took me years to be able to stay awake. So people in freeze tend to wander off. People more in the fight or have an edginess or just I can't quite access that deep relaxation. So neither one of those extremes are actually a well-regulated nervous system. One is hyperactive, one is underactive.